The atmosphere in the cave did not relax throughout their meeting. Apprehension hung in the air like fog, and the subject of their discussion did nothing to lift it. Kite told his story as best he could, and when he struggled with a word, Stoneteller or Ava helped to fill in. He decided to start at the beginning. Kite was a well-respected leader when the pack existed in the valley. He led with stern authority, and none questioned his orders, even when he made controversial decisions, the main being to allow a kitten named Ava to join their ranks. He defended the kitten against the other wolves, and it slowly gained a place in the pack. Moons later, a lone wolf approached them, and Kite, knowing there was room for another addition, allowed him to join. The newcomer, Hisoka, was well liked by many in the pack, and at first his arrival seemed to repair the damage dealt by Ava's joining. But the good did not last. Kite received warnings from his seer, Kiba, and as time went on, Hisoka began to gain power in the pack. Slowly, a rift grew between Kite and the other wolves. Leadership among wolves had always been straightforward, but Hisoka had a different way of going about things. Instead of challenging the alpha directly, he talked quietly to his fellow wolves, and Kite did not know how to fight against the slow spread of hostility. Finally, Kite was forced to confront Hisoka directly, telling him that if he continues to spread lies, he will have to leave the pack. Many protested, standing up for the wolf, and Kite feared a mutiny. However, Hisoka calmed them and apologized to Kite. For a while, the tension seemed to disperse. After about a moon, Hisoka came to Kite with the suggestion to expand the territory into the mountains. The pack had grown, and they could afford to spread. Wanting to avoid another confrontation, Kite agreed. Little did he know, this was part of Hisoka's plan. When they had reached the mountains, Hisoka finally challenged Kite to a battle for the alpha position. Kite was surprised, but had to accept. As per tradition, they journeyed a little ways from the pack and battled. As they fought, Hisoka put his plan into action. He had friends, other wolves, waiting in the cliffs, and they unfairly attacked Kite, overpowering him. Knowing he may be killed if he carries on with the fight, Kite tore away and raced back to the pack, telling them of Hisoka's treachery. They did not believe him, and Hisoka returned, saying that Kite tried to cheat the moment he began to lose. The pack began to turn on Kite, no longer accepting him as alpha. Left with no choice, Kite withdrew. His sons, Farkas and Vilkas, decided to leave the pack and join him. His adopted daughter, Ava, came as well, knowing that under Hisoka's rule, she and her brothers may well be killed if they stayed. As Kite's story drew to a close, the cat's expressions grew dark. Riverpaw glanced quickly at Ava, who was staring at the floor with blazing green eyes. Her claws had made clear marks on the stone. Farkas and Vilkas looked just as angry, their long muzzles scrunched in a silent snarl. "My wounds," Kite rumbled, and Stoneteller nodded gravely. "His wounds are infected. I am doing everything in my power to stop its spread. But I fear—" He trailed off, and the others clearly picked up his meaning. Riverpaw felt a stab of pain at the thought of the great wolf's death. Despite how terrifying he was, there was a nobleness in the proud tilt of his head, and a strength in his broad shoulders. He may have been dying, but there was no denying that he was a leader. "We kill Hisoka," Kite continued, his voice ringing with conviction. "If he live, bad for pack, and for cats. Work together. Yes?" Stoneteller nodded firmly, then shot a glance at the rest of the cats. Riverpaw nodded without hesitation. She knew she would be more suspicious of the massive, dangerous creatures, but Kite's honest demeanor had pushed all doubt from her mind. She knew she could trust this wolf. The others must have felt the same. Everyone agreed. Kite dipped his head in thanks. "Well then," Wolfclaw spoke up, yellow eyes scanning the crowd. How do we go about killing this Hisoka? To Riverpaw's surprise, it was Mosslegs who stepped forward. It may be hard, and it would definitely be risky, but there are many cliffs in these mountains. The best way to go about killing him without a fight would be to, well, push him off. The cats were silent. Rowan Shadow cocked his head, dubious. Why not have a fight? If we all fought him together, I believe our strength would be enough. Cannot fight. Pack always help, Kite growled. But perhaps Farkas or Vilkas could challenge him, Gingerpelt started, and the great wolf stopped her. Hisoka always have help. Against me, he cheat. You challenge, he cheat again. Silence fell as everyone contemplated the problem. Echo Paw let out a squeak and tapped Ashheart on the shoulder. She was suddenly brimming with excitement, and the ThunderClan warrior waved for her to speak. The tortoiseshell she-cat spoke up promptly. So, we have to get him away from the pack, right? Convince him he doesn't need backup for once. Kite fixed his golden eyes on the apprentice and nodded. Echo Paw smiled. Then why doesn't a cat challenge him? Surprise rippled through the gathered animals. Kite and Vilkas pricked their long ears, intrigued, while Farkas tilted his head in confusion. The cats followed suit. After a moment, Kite bared his fangs and what may have been a smile. Clever little cat, but Hisoka not accept. No challenge. You not members of pack. But she is, or was, Echo Paw continued, pointing a paw at Ava. The wild she-cat stared. Kite glanced at her, and his expression darkened. No, she not do it. Ava immediately let out a snarl of protest, turning on the wolf. Kite barked sharply, snapping his teeth, and the she-cat quieted. After a moment of silent glaring, she turned to the other cats. I do it. No, Kite snarled. Is best chance, Ava insisted. I challenge Hisoka. Lead away and kill him. You won't be able to kill him alone, Echo Paw reminded her, and immediately received a murderous glare from the wolfish cat. It does sound like the only real chance we have to catch him alone, Rowan Shadow reasoned. If he accepts, then she could lead him away from the pack to someplace near a cliff. We could wait there. Then I'll charge him and push him off, Lily added. And if the rest of the pack is upset when Ava returns instead of Hisoka, she could tell him that he lost his balance. The tribe isn't blamed, and Kite could take his place as alpha when Ava returns the position over, right? Mosslegs finished eagerly. Murmurs of approval from the cats, and Farkas wagged his tail as if he agreed. Ava was looking at Kite with a hopeful glint in her eyes. The only one that didn't seem on board was Kite himself. The former alpha gazed into the distance, his expression clouded. Is good plan, the great wolf rumbled. Ava is only cat Hisoka fight. Farkas and Vilkas return to pack. Avoid Hisoka's suspicion. He looked at Ava sadly. You challenge alone. Hisoka torture you if cat can't help. Ava didn't flinch. She looked the white wolf in the eye and growled something that Riverpaw didn't understand. Kite's golden eyes turned a dark topaz, as if the wolf cat's words had upset him. He looked at the gathered cats. If plans succeed, I not be alpha. Ava's eyes widened. Farkas let out a small whine, and Vilkas looked away. Riverpaw stared at the great wolf in concern. Kite glanced at Stoneteller. You do good work. My pain is less. But I die soon. Is fate. Stoneteller's expression hardened. I'm not about to sit back and stop working. You are my patient, and I will not abandon you, no matter your condition. The former alpha bared his teeth again, a bitter smile. Honorable cat. The healer bowed his head. The wolf's words were dark, but every animal's nose was sharp enough to smell the scent of death hanging in the air. Kite's condition was not improving. It was clear that Stoneteller could only lessen the great wolf's pain. Saving his life may just be impossible. Riverpaw studied Ava, wondering how she would react to Kite's prediction. The wolf obviously meant a lot to her. From his story, one could tell he considered the cat to be his daughter. It probably went the other way as well. Ava was trembling, her claws unsheathed and brown hackles raised. To Riverpaw, it looked like the wild cat was prepared to fight off death for her adopted father. "You not die," Ava snarled, her voice firm. "You my alpha." Kite's gaze was steady. No longer. The she-cat's green eyes flared. She let out a howl and stormed out of the cave, pushing cats aside in her haste. Riverpaw stared after her fleeing form. The light brown wolf, Farkas, let out a tentative bark, and Kite responded in a low growl. Vilkas, the darker wolf, remained silent. "I believe that is reason enough for a break," Stoneteller meowed. "Lily, please accompany the clan cats on a hunt. I will tend to Kite's injuries, and we will all meet back here at sunfall. Spider," he turned to one of the tribe cats who had helped him carry his supplies, "run back to the camp and give Lightning an update on everything that has transpired here. Make sure the rest of the tribe is staying calm." The black prey hunter nodded firmly and raced off out of the cave, seeming relieved to leave the wolf's presence. Riverpaw watched Ashheart. The Tom's expression was troubled, but he straightened and seemed to mask the feeling. "Let's hunt." As they left the cave, Riverpaw scanned around for Ava. She spotted the wild cat sitting atop a ledge above the cave entrance. Her back was to the cats, her shoulders hunched. Riverpaw looked away. She wished this strange desire to talk to the wolfish cat would stop. "Ashheart, do you think the four of us could go hunting as a group?" Stonepaw was asking. The other cats were splitting off to hunt, and Riverpaw stuck close to her friends, reminding herself how worried they were before. From behind, heavy paw steps could be heard, and the wolf brothers Farkas and Vilkas emerged, padding past the cats on their own hunt. "I want to go with them," Echo Paw breathed. "Imagine being able to watch something that big hunt." "It's best we keep to ourselves," Ashheart warned. "I agree with Stonepaw. The four of us will keep together and bring our prey back here." They were preparing to leave when Gingerpelt trotted over to them. "If you're going off on your own, try to catch something for Stoneteller and Kite as well. We're all chipping in since they won't be able to hunt." Ashheart nodded, and the ThunderClan cats left together. The sky was darkening by the time they got back. Riverpaw grumbled to herself in frustration. Prey was scarce, and being the mediocre hunter she was, had only managed to catch a scrawny mouse. She set the pathetic thing next to the other's catch, swallowing her shame as best she could. Without a word, Stonepaw edged closer to her, offering his silent support. The she-cat thanked him quietly. The others had caught more, of course. As per the tribe tradition, they passed their prey around, sharing a bite from each piece. Half the catch was left aside for the healer and his patient. "Do you think Farkas and Vilkas are back yet?" Echo Paw mewed, looking around eagerly. "I wonder what they caught." "Maybe nothing," Stonepaw replied. "With other wolves and us cats hunting here, there can't be much to catch." He trailed off, for just then the two brothers showed themselves. Farkas was dragging a large animal behind him, something Riverpaw vaguely recognized from her journeys past farmland. "A sheep?" she meowed, incredulous. "No, it looks different. It's not as fluffy, and it has horns. See?" Echo Paw gasped. She moved to go examine it closer, but Ashheart grabbed a hold of her tail. "It's not for us," the warrior warned. Every cat watched in amazement as the two wolves dragged the animal's carcass into the cave. Exchanging a look, Rowan, Shadow, and Lily immediately picked up the remaining prey they had gathered and took it inside. Farkas and Vilkas sat back respectfully as Kite dug into the sheep's gut. Ava sat a little ways away as well, watching the white wolf eat. Stoneteller accepted the cat's prey. When Kite had apparently eaten his share, he leaned back. A silent signal reached the other wolves, and they attacked what was left of the sheep. Ava lunged forward as well. Riverpaw and the cats watched in disgusted fascination. By the time the wolves were finished, nothing was left of the animal but scraps and bones. Their muzzles were sticky with blood, and in Ava's case, her entire head seemed covered. The she-cat promptly began to clean herself, licking a paw and running it over her face. Well, at least she still cleans herself like a cat, Riverpaw thought, watching as the wolf brothers only licked their lips. After all had finished their meal, the group launched into more detailed planning. Now that they had a concrete idea, hope had started to tint the cats' voices. Ridding the mountains of the wolves had felt like an impossible task. Now, it only seemed extremely difficult. The wolves' camp is in our sister tribe's territory, Stoneteller told the assembled animals. If we wish to pull this off, we must talk to Windspeaker about using her territory. Is Windspeaker the other tribe's healer? Featherfall asked. Yes, the speaker of wind and leaves. She leads the tribe of the season tree, Lily meowed. Tensions have risen between our tribes due to the prey shortage, but if we propose a plan to get rid of the wolves, she will surely listen. Then we must make a patrol and go talk to her immediately, Rowan Shadow stated. I suggest Lily leads a small group of clan cats. We will seem less threatening in small numbers. My apprentice and I will go, Ashheart meowed. Riverpaw, Echopaw, and Stonepaw stared at the Tom in utter astonishment. The other clan cats looked at him in surprise as well. Ashheart explained, We will not appear threatening, and it'll be easier to describe the clan's intentions since Riverpaw has spoken to our ancestors. One more should come as well. Perhaps Ava, since she is proof of our connection to the wolves, Mossleg suggested. No, Ashheart and Ava growled simultaneously. The ThunderClan warrior shot a glance at the wolf cat. I don't believe she wishes to leave her leader's side. Plus, she does not seem like the most diplomatic of cats. The Tom meowed flatly. Ava bristled, promptly proving his point. I not go with stupid cats, the dark cat spat. She cast a quick glance at Riverpaw, almost seeming to hesitate, but the moment faded as she looked away. Kite needs me. Kite, who had been watching this all very closely, responded in a low, rumbling growl. Ava flattened her ears as the formal alpha turned to Ashheart. Ava not go. Agree she... too angry. Vilkas, perhaps. The cats shuffled uneasily at the thought of a wolf coming along, but Ashheart tilted his head, considering. If you brought a prey offering and stayed far behind but within sight, it could work. We just have to make sure to explain it thoroughly. Kite nodded, then yipped sharply to the darker wolf. Vilkas gave a curt nod, stood and padded from the cave. Farkas flattened his ears, as if already missing his brother. Ava walked over to the wolf and sat between his paws. This seemed to calm him. Very well. Then the patrol will be Ashheart, Riverpaw, Lily, and Vilkas, Stoneteller meowed. Any objections? No one spoke, but Riverpaw glanced at Stonepaw and Echopaw. Echopaw looked like she was about to explode, and Stonepaw was looking away, deep blue eyes, unreadable. Good, Stoneteller continued. Then they leave in the morning.